Hi folks, welcome back to the Guitar Farm, and today we're checking out this beautiful Gibson 2016 Firebird 5 in vintage Sunburst. Now this is the traditional model from this year, so you get all the classic Firebird appointments that you'd expect. And as I say, this one's in vintage Sunburst. Gibson have stopped making the Firebird these days, probably unlikely to return in a proper guise like this anytime soon, given the cost associated with making these neck-through guitars. And to be honest, since about 2017 or after, Gibson stopped making the Firebird properly anyway. Now, most of those changes were associated with the headstock. They stopped producing Firebirds with this sort of Art Deco sculpted headstock design. They were just flat black, and they didn't have banjo or Steinberger tuners on. They just had regular 6-in-line Grovers that stuck out the side of the headstock. But this one is all as you would expect. It's fully vintage spec Firebird, with the exception of the fact that the cumbersome banjo tuners that were on them back in the day that unbalanced the guitar more often than not are replaced with a set of Steinberger gearless tuners. But they still provide exactly the same aesthetic, and they're stock from the guitar. So if you're unfamiliar with the Firebird, the basic structure of the guitar is the neck, and this centerpiece that you see coming down the guitar here is all one piece of mahogany, and then glued onto that we have two wings, a left and a right wing. Now, having the neck going straight through the body and on the same piece of wood that the bridge and tailpiece mount onto basically provides a much higher amount of resonance than what you get from a set neck guitar like a Les Paul, and you can really feel the difference when you play it, or when you play a good one. Now the pickups are Gibson's 495 R&T rhythm and treble pickups, which are a slightly modern take on a classic Firebird pickup, but they still very much have that Firebird sound to them. We have the typical Firebird scratch plate with the red bird on it there, 3-way selector switch. Standard from the factory Nashville bridge and tailpiece. Thankfully again this is one that has the Allen key adjusts in the top, so much easier to operate. You can still use the thumb wheels though. We have the standard electronics from the factory, haven't been messed with or anything. And as I say, we have a lovely pair of wings on this guitar. See some nice figuring in that one. There's some nice straight grain in there too. So you can see the ply here that's used. So what we have is mahogany, walnut, mahogany, walnut, mahogany, walnut, mahogany, walnut, mahogany, and then two mahogany wings either side of that. And you'll see that that runs all the way down the back and through the neck. So that's what makes this a neck through. Now this guitar is in really beautiful condition, with only some very light marks, and only a couple at that. One thing we do have around the jack socket, I don't even know if the camera will even pick this up, is there's some very light clear coat markings where obviously the jack plug's been inserted, or attempted to be inserted. And that just comes from jack plugs being put in and taken out over its use, but as you can see, you can barely even see it. It's actually not that bit of fluff there, it's actually around here. You can't see it, but I am pointing it out. We have a lovely streaky piece of rosewood on this model with the standard fret with the fret nibs, so classic design in that respect, and the acrylic trapezoid inlays that we'd expect to find. I really like the figuring on this piece of rosewood actually. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it is a nice board. Some nice figuring in the trapezoid inlays there too. And we have our Gibson sort of Art Deco sculpted Firebird headstock design. As I say, now those two lines you can see just to the right hand side of that third tuner across, that's actually a continuation of the ply that runs all the way down the neck, so that's what that is. It's the walnut poking out. Now Gibson actually omitted this headstock design, probably to, well, definitely to save money, and just had flat ones after 2017, but not on these ones. Stock truss rod cover. Obviously these are reverse headstock designs, so the E string is the furthest tuner away from the nut, or the low E string that is. Moving around to the rear of the headstock, we can see the backs of our Steinberger gearless tuners. Again, these are stock on all 2016 models. They're really, really lovely to operate. Very premium. I think they're over 100 quid a set actually, if you want to buy them on their own. You can see made in 2016. See the serial number. That white stuff is just buffing compound from the factory. Very common. It cleans out. Can do that if any buyer wants it done. You can see the ply here running down the back of the neck. Lovely mahogany neck on this with a walnut ply. Back of the neck is immaculate and it bursts into this lovely black by the neck heel. Now we come to the back of the body, which articulates a little bit better what I was trying to say. Now there is a comfort cut on these Firebirds, as there was. Always these were sort of made to be an ergonomic guitar to play. Sort of seen as Gibson's response to the Jazzmaster, to be fair. Or at least that's what Fender thought. Sort of offset design. We can see the backs of the wings here. On the back, this centre piece of mahogany that's actually the same piece as the neck has some nice, very subtle, sort of almost flame-esque figuring, but it is very subtle. And we can see the continuation of that ply through the body that runs all the way up the neck. Then we have our right wing, again in very good condition with the comfort cut there too. Stock strap buttons, all stock electronics under there. Now the back is in lovely condition. If you are seeing bits on it, it's just shedding off the interior of the standard premium gig bag. There is, however, one very, very tiny impression just there in the middle of the screen that you can see, but it looks way worse because I'm shining it under light. You can see once I zoom out, you can barely see it. But other than that, it's absolutely beautiful condition. You can see that gloss on it as well there. Now if you've ever played a Firebird, you will know that the ergonomics of playing one are slightly different, but actually are slightly better for certain people than others. Now I prefer the ergonomics of this over something like a Les Paul because I've got really long arms, and the extra length of the guitar actually helps me, and the fact that it's sort of shifted to the left in the sitting position as you look at it actually helps me being able to get my picking hand in a much more comfortable position. And this part of the guitar down here is really handy to rest your arm on as well. So people talk about Firebirds being cumbersome to play. I think they're just the wrong build of person to play a Firebird. For me, they're actually the comfiest Gibson to play. These also have a little bit of a sound of their own. They're not like an SG and they're not like a Les Paul. You really have to play one to hear it and hear the difference. These pickups don't sound like P90s and they don't sound like mini humbuckers. They're their own thing. So yeah, that, as I say, wraps up the video for this 2016 Gibson Firebird 5 traditional model. Now, this guitar is for sale on Reverb. Should you have any questions, please do hit me up. It comes with its original Gibson gig bag, which is in beautiful condition, and it's the woven one with the cream interior, which looks lovely. It's immaculate, the gig bag. I can provide a case to ship this in as well, which is an Epiphone case, which they're about 120 quid new, so it's a nice case as well. I can provide that for the purchase price. But yeah, if you have any more questions, please do hit me up and I'm more than happy to answer them. Do take care.